Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, where the legal industry gets real. I'm your host, Etta Rosa, legal consultant, speaker, and founder of Etta Rosa LLC and the Limitless Paralegal Academy. This isn't your stuffy legal studies school lecture. We're talking mindset, money, modern workflows, and how to build a career and a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's cut the fluff, raise the bar, and change the game one conversation at a time. If you like what you hear, feel free to share and send us your feedback. Now let's talk paralegal. Hey guys, welcome back to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, another bonus episode for you. Okay, so today we're talking about something that I know a lot of you have been wondering about, maybe even stressing about a little, and that is marketing in this wild AI-driven world we're living in right now. Think about it. The way people find lawyers, law firms, legal services has completely changed. Your business, your potential clients aren't just Googling anymore. They're asking ChatGPT, they're asking Gemini, they're asking Siri, they're asking every AI potential out there. And if your firm or your company isn't showing up in those answers, you might as well be invisible. So, how do you fix that? How do you actually get found by the right people in the right places? My guest today has made it her entire mission to answer exactly that question, and she's breaking it all down for us today. Listen in for more. Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm your host, Etta, and today we have Nina, and we are going to combine two topics that we've actually spoken about, but not in this way. And I loved it, the way it was introduced to me. So, Nina, before we get into it, though, I want to talk about you and your, just the person that you are, because we like to humanize the industry. So we got to kind of, practice what we preach here. So talk about you for a second, and then we'll get into our topic for the day.
Okay. I was an attorney, and one of my first jobs, I was corporate counsel for a company. And if you've ever worked for entrepreneurs, they're like, we need this done. And I'm a personality that's like, I can do that. So when I worked as corporate counsel, and I also was vice president, and it was in the early 2000s, and my boss would come in and be like, everybody's getting websites. And so I was like, I can build that. And then he came in, he's like, there's this thing called Google, and they have ads. And I was like, I can run those. I totally messed those up and lost us thousands of dollars, but whatever, I learned. And so it was really fun for me. I like doing different things. And so I started to get into that. Plus, when I was in law school, I found beauty boards, and I became a panelist on one and helped build it up to 100,000 unique views a month. And so all of that kind of led me into, I really enjoy law, but I also enjoy marketing. And there's a little bit of a adrenaline junkie thing when you do really well for your clients with marketing, more than law. So I have transitioned over to doing marketing for law firms because I thought I can do this anywhere in the world. I'm a single parent, and so I can do that when, around when I need to get my kid from school and all the other things that you have to do as a parent. And so, and it's just kind of fun. Things are always changing, and so, and then AI is coming into it. And so I've been studying a lot of that and how to get found in that and stuff. And so that's That's what I do. And because I've run a couple companies and I've helped them make like double in size, make millions of dollars, I like to use that knowledge with doing better marketing so that the attorneys I work with can make more money in less time and less effort. So,
I love that. And I love how you're merging these two worlds together, right? There's a lot of talk. Oh my God. I was telling you this and excuse the background noise. I was talking about parents. They're in the back having a great time over there, not caring about what mommy does. So, anyways, in addition to that, I wanted to say that merging these worlds, we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, right? And we talk a lot about marketing. And then people are like, okay, well, how do these two worlds kind of like marry, right? How do these worlds come together and what does that look like, especially in the legal industry with all the, what I call the border patrol, no pun intended. We're not getting political here, but all the walls and everything, all the measurements, like all the red tape and what we're not supposed to do, and then all the conflicts, right? Because for me, as a consultant, consulting for law firms, we look at the conflictive regulations. ABA is saying one thing, but then like your like state bar is saying another thing, and it's like, well, wait, well, which one is it? Is it the American Bar Association, or are we going to follow the Florida bar? Are we following the New York or California? Like, which one are we doing? Because they're both conflicting each other. And then in addition to that, happy thoughts for lawyers now, and additional stress is, okay, now it depends on the judge and how strong they are, in their belief of the use of artificial intelligence. And so that's more of the world that we're living in the consulting world, right? In the process and operations, and really developing these new nuances and navigating this world that I already called it as soon as ChatGPT became, the new Google. I said, "Oh, we're in it for the long run. This is going to be a roller coaster in the legal industry because we have no laws to protect us, to guide us, to instruct us, to go by, right? This is like
right,
it reminds me of when we first started with cell phones, right? Oh, dating myself. But anyways, when we first started with cell phones and the driving and texting and talking on the phone, none of that existed. When the cell phone came out, there was no laws to do, right? So when the
right,
cop would stop you and give you a citation, you're like, under what cause? Like, what are you doing, right? And so then
right.
they're like, oh, wait, we got to put laws for this. So that's where we're at with artificial intelligence in the legal industry. Honestly, that's where we're at now with the use of it and the capacity that we use it in. And we're using it literally every single day. If you own an iPhone or a Google Pixel, literally everything is artificial intelligence embedded. All your new software. Cleere came out with a massive artificial intelligence integration this year. They launched the second phase of it. My case, same thing. Smokeball, all of them, right? All the major league players in the legal industry have actually married these, concepts. So I love it. And it was so, why didn't I think about this, right? Kind of because I live in this world and it's like, why didn't I think about how does it marry and translate in the marketing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how is that not, a thing right now? And so, okay, so I want your thoughts on this before we get into it. But I was
Thank you.
having this conversation with my product and growth associate, and I am not a fan of these artificial intelligence, those little videos of like you record yourself and then it like becomes like an avatar version of yourself.
Oh,
And then
right,
it like talks and then it uses it for marketing. And it's like, dude, we totally see that this is not you.
right.
And anything like that, all these little B-rolls that have like people walking that have nothing to do with you. You have no idea. It's like using stock images on a
Mm-hmm.
website, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally my version of that. Like I don't like using stock, images unless it's like absolutely 100% necessary, right? So, what are your thoughts on that? Now I'm just curious. Hey, legal pros, are you ready to stop playing small? The Limitless Paralegal Academy is officially open, offering powerhouse courses, real world tools, and expert led training to help you build the career and life you actually want. We're not stopping there. The Limitless Paralegal Tour is hitting the road. We're bringing the mindset shifts, career strategies, and community straight to your city with epic speakers, actionable sessions, and zero boring PowerPoints. This isn't your average CLE. This is your legal career reimagined. Join the Academy, meet us on tour, become the legal pro everyone remembers. Visit limitlessparalegals.academy.com to enroll and grab your ticket now. Be bold, be brilliant, but most importantly, be limitless.
Well, all of marketing, the most important thing is to get people to know, like, and trust you. Right? And it's almost impossible to get somebody to trust an AI version of you.
I like that.
Right? And
Yeah.
people are gonna, I mean, if you think about it, like, people pick up when it's AI, like, and then they're annoyed because they're like, that wasn't really you. I mean, I've helped clients grow their YouTube channels and their Facebook channels, and I'll go, as a marketer, you go in and you answer questions for them. It's not like the attorney's sitting there answering a question, right? Like, they're doing the video, and then I would have a team, and we would go and we would check all of the platforms and say, and they thought the attorney's talking to them. And we would have to be very clear, like, first, it's not legal advice. And secondly, no, it's not the attorney. But they, literally they would go in to meet with the attorney and be like, almost treating them like a movie star because they got so used to watching their videos and interacting with them. And if they felt like they were being duped and it wasn't the attorney answering, we had to be really clear, like, we are answering for this person's law office. This is not the attorney, because we didn't want them to think we're creating this like fake relationship. Right. And I think that's the same thing when you use the avatars. Especially because now they're not even cartoon. It's like, all the AI programs are selling like, oh, you don't even have to do the video. Like, literally enter in a 3-minute video and we'll create 40 hours of video for you. Right.
It's
and
scary.
we'll do your voice for you. Right. But then if you've ever listened to it, like, after, like, there's always a little bit that like catches you and you're like, that's AI. Right. That's not you. And do you really want to potentially turn people away from you because they see that this isn't really you? I don't think so. No. I mean, everything you do in marketing, it's a business decision, right? So maybe you decide that that's worth it because, like, I honestly, I don't like chat bots on websites. I find them super annoying, and almost every law firm in the world has them, right? And now they're putting their little faces there like it's them talking, and it's not them talking. It's not even usually a human, right? True.
Yeah.
And but I've had attorneys tell me, well, I get 5 clients from it a month, so it's worth it to me to have that. Like, I'm like, it slows your site down. It's not a human. It's, people get mad because they can't. It's like calling a number and you like just want to talk to an operator and you can't get it to, like, go, like, you're like, operator,
you can no longer
like,
bypass it. Yeah, you can no longer bypass it by like clicking on 0.
Yeah, or even the people that you get. And I'm not saying don't use people outside the US, but there are people we have all had who can't get off the script. And you're like, get off the script or get me a supervisor, right?
Yes.
And that's what chatbots are like. Like, they shouldn't deviate from the script. But so I don't like them, but that's a business decision that a lot of attorneys have made to have them because they get leads that way and they get clients that way. Right. So I don't know. I mean, as much as AI is really good and useful, I think that there's also going to be a surge to have more of a human connection.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be offended by thinking they developed a relationship with somebody and they find out it was just AI.
Right. No,
We
and
do.
that was my concern, right? Because as a business owner and consulting other businesses, that's always in the back of my mind, right? Ultimately, you are the face and the brand, especially if you're a law firm. Like you are the brand.
Yes.
Nobody's going to know you by a logo. At the end of the day, they all look the same. Let's just be real. It's either going to have the Lady of Justice, a scale, like,
Right.
it's all going to look the same. You're not McDonald's. You're not, inventing anything out of the ordinary. In Puerto Rico, we have this saying that I'll loosely transfer. You're not the last Coke in the refrigerator kind of deal.
Right.
I know it never sounds as nice in English, but it's really funny in Spanish. Just Google it. You'll like it.
Okay.
But anyways, so I'm very much like we have an entire branding course in our academy because that is one thing I had to learn, right? I had to learn the importance of that no trust, what was it? No trust and like factor, right? Like
Right.
it wasn't something that was taught. Obviously, we're not taught these things. And
Right.
so when I started building a business and I had the model, I had the plan, I had everything
Hmm.
that, Google and all these courses tell you to do, all right? Nobody prepares you for the amount of no's you're gonna get
Right.
because you're either not aligned, your messages are not the same, like there's a big disconnect. So I always tell the law firms, and I'm pretty sure you have insight on this as well, is that if you do have multiple presence on multiple platforms, make sure that in essence, the actual message is the same, right?
Right.
So, like, our message is we're changing the legal industry from the inside out. And we have two, what we call avatars, right? So, we have two types
Right.
of clients that are not the same, right? Not even in the same age range, nothing. They're completely different, but they still live in the legal industry. So, our content is still human centered service, legal team strategy. Like, it's still the same concept, but yet we're targeting two different people. And to get that to be like formula, to actually
Right.
work, then maybe this is something you can share too. Generationals. The
Right.
different generations are very different. Like I am raising, I don't even know what the hell they are. They're 7 and 9. I have no idea what the generation is
Oh,
called right now.
alpha, beta, something like that.
One
I
of
think it's
those, one of the edibles. I mean,
right.
that's really what's happening right now. So, anyways, when I see them and I see my nieces and nephews, which are a lot older, they're already in their 20s and this and that, just the mindset, everything is instant, right? Instant message, instant, gratification, 30 seconds or less. Like, give me all you got, your elevator pitch constantly. But now the elevator pitch used to be a minute. Now it has to be like 3 seconds
Right.
because nobody is
Right.
listening to you after the third word. And
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you, in this drowning of industry, right? Because you're getting pitched regardless of personal injury, I feel bad for them. They do get the bad rep, of
Uh-huh.
being on the billboards and being on the buses and the benches. And, they do get that bad rep that it's like, oh my God, they're always in our face. Like, God forbid I do get in an accident. I don't know which one to pick because I see the
Right.
billboard, I see the bench, I see the bus, I see everything. I have no idea what I want. And then you go and scroll on your social media outlets and you're there and and it's like constant, right? You're constantly being sold. One, we all know why, because that's what our economy runs by, is our purchase power. So we all know
Right.
why we're constantly getting these ads and getting pitched at like 100% of the time. But two, it's like it's overwhelming. So people just like stop listening. Like they don't care. They'll hit
Right.
skip, they'll hit delete. And so really in this world of overwhelming information, how are you distincting that? Like how are you guiding your clients to a better day, right?
Are you ready to elevate your leadership journey through exploring the wisdom of the ages? Subscribe to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on all major podcast platforms, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube Music. You can also find us everywhere else podcasts are available. If you find value in our episodes, please leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. We need those reviews to grow, and it is truly the easiest way to help other leaders and lovers of literature discover this show. And thank you for your support.
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, one thing is that I always have to make clear to people, most people who start a business now have this pipe dream of having a faceless brand. And I'm like, no, no, especially as an attorney, right? Like, and then when they're and this is their mind too, like, oh, if I do enough videos, I'm going to go viral, and then I can make money from YouTube and not even have to be an attorney. And I'm like, and again, I'm like, no, no, no. Like I've had to tell several clients because we have grown their channels, and I'm like, but you realize when you do that, if you want to make money, you're giving YouTube permission to run ads of your competitors on your
Yeah.
page, right? So why would you want to make, you know, a 0.6 of a cent from a view? Just like it's not going to replace your legal. I hate to tell you, but like, you're not going to be Mr. Beast. It's not
No.
going to replace your legal income, to do that. And I just think it's so crazy that they like, I have a teenager, and his thing from probably age 5 to like 15 was, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And I was like, let's talk about the reality of that. Like, and so that's one thing that I don't understand. Like, maybe if you don't enjoy doing law, then don't do it, because you still have to get the no's, right? You still
Yeah.
have to get the yeses. You're still constantly going to be out there getting people to know, like, and trust you. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's a really good point that you made, that you have to be the face of your brand. You are the face of your brand,
Yeah.
as an attorney, because here's the facts. Providing legal services is a service business, right? And I it's funny to me because attorneys will get frustrated that people go to AI and ask legal questions and then come to them, right? As I just saw an attorney on LinkedIn the other day saying, "Oh, I'm sick of my clients coming to me with questions that they got from ChatGPT and demanding that I answer these questions and that I do it the way ChatGPT says I should."
Mm.
And I think, well, I don't know that that's bad. I mean, that's the goal, is then to get ChatGPT and the others to say you're the attorney they should go to, right? So that's what I'm like. Okay, well, if you can't stop them, how can you join them, right?
No,
So
I
I don't
completely
know if
get
I
it.
answered your question, but that's what it's just kind of it's an interesting thing. I mean, I guess as a business owner, we'd all love to never market again, right? Like, we would just love to have people, like, I always tell people, it's not the field of dreams. If you build it, they're not going to come. Like, you constantly have to be asking people to buy from you.
No,
And if you
it's like 100% though. So, and this is a great example, just to your point. I'm at the festival, because Florida is all about festivals. We have
Right.
festivals all year round, like this. And so where I live, not that I'm going to give my location, but where I live, there's always a festivals because it's a very family city. There's a lot of families, and so every month we have something going on at the community center, at the local park, or whatever it is. Our city is very big and very proud of their festivals to the
Mm-hmm.
point where the surrounding communities come, right? And they had to start charging the people that are not residents because it got so packed.
Oh, okay.
So this one is an annual one. It's their biggest one. It's a big carnival. They bring all the horror, like traumatizing, rides that I had when I was growing up. I can't. And so I watch my kids just go through the same trauma because I'm like, I'm not going on that. That's not
Right.
happening. You're tall enough, you can go.
Right.
So, anyway, so we're here, we're in the middle of it, and I always like to look at the vendors, and I always like to see who the sponsors are, who's supporting our festivals, who's really our champions, of building our community, because those are the people I'm going to invest in. If they're investing in us, I want to invest in them. So this is always like a thing that I always like to talk to our, lawyers and our legal professionals that we train and we build. You know, it's a very like miss. Like everybody's focused on social media and everybody, and that's great. Of course, paid ads get you paid clients. I get it, We all get it. We all get the formula. But like I was there, and then I think it wasn't this year, because this year I didn't go by the vendors because first of all it poured, and so we didn't have the greatest time. But last year we're walking by the vendors, and it was what I call political season. Everybody's trying to run their campaign, everybody's trying to
Okay.
get on the ballot and everything. So everybody was there. The commissioners, the school board representatives, the advocates, the every little city member that you can think of. Even the mayor was there.
Right.
With their little booths trying to get people to vote. And so I'm there and I'm looking at this and I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the propaganda and I'm like, it's not matching. Like what you're saying here is not what I'm hearing, right? And I was like, a lot of people miss the mark on this, right? So I go to them and I said, okay, on here, you said so and so and so. And then they're like, yeah. And then I tell them, okay, well, tell me more about that. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, if this does happen, what are we gonna do about it? Like, there's like two, three things happening in the community. I'm well aware of it because I'm part of the advocacy program. And so
Mhm.
I was like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, tell me what you're gonna do about it. Because you could say all you want, but like, what is your action plan? And what are you gonna actually do? And she just looked at me straight face and said, I'll figure it out when I get there. And I was like, well, you're not gonna get there with that answer.
Right. That's so bizarre.
And I was like, hold on. So you're here trying to collect votes, obviously. That's the only reason you're here. But yet you don't have a like you don't have the plan. Like, we need a plan. We need answers. Like that's the whole point you're here. So obviously there's a lot of disconnect happening, right? And this happens a lot. So I like to you know I don't want to say stalking. I don't like that word. I think it's very misleading. But I do like to keep an eye on my clients and my prospects, and I like to do a lot of research before
Mhm.
we even onboard them because I want
Right.
to see what we're getting into, and I want to see if they're aligned with our values because we don't just take anybody. So when I'm there, and I do a lot of that. I do a lot of look at their social media. Do they even have social media? Most of them don't at this point.
Right.
Some of them don't, and I'm talking about business. Like I'm not gonna go
Mhm.
into their personal life. I don't care about that. So I
Right.
go in there and I'm looking. And I was like, okay, they have a website. It's okay. I'm like, okay. Doesn't even show up on Google. I have to literally type it word for word, but okay.
Right.
It's there. There's a website. There's this, there's that, but it's very minimal. You could tell the last post was like 6 months ago. And then they're wondering why there's no clients coming in the door. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, if you don't invest in your community, whether it's through a video, whether it's through a sponsorship, whether it's through throwing your own event, we have a lot of law firms here that throw their own events for the communities. Why do you think the community is going to invest in you if we
Right.
don't see that investment, right? So I think my whole point of this whole tangent was that they miss the mark. So sometimes you become more of a coach,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then like you said, you have to like kind of convince them or walk them off the ledge and be like, no, you're not going to be a YouTube star because this is the reality of that. You're pretty much a slave. Your camera has to be on 24/7 and people are going to judge you all the time. So it's kind of like being a lawyer. Like it's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. No, but that's a really good point because I always laugh that you can tell when people are trying to get clients because all of a sudden they'll be posting on every social platform and they'll be, doing blog posts and on LinkedIn and da 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 da. And as soon as they get the clients, everything stops,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then and then it's like dead. And then you can tell when they need clients again and I'm like, can we just do consistent?
Hmm.
And that's what AI wants too, is they want to see you posting consistently. Like it seems counterintuitive But AI, the big thing they look at is trust signals,
Mm.
right? And are you trustworthy across the board? So, like you said, your message is the same, right? So you have to have like your name, your address, your phone number, all the same everywhere. If you don't, AI's like, who are you? And that's one thing I found. I had a client one time who had over 100 phone numbers because he really loved Dan Kennedy. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing for what he was intending, but he had Dan Kennedy said we need to track every ad and everything that you put out there to see where you're getting your traffic from. So literally every time he would send a different email or a different letter, he would get a different phone number. He would put an ad on Facebook. He would have a phone number for his website, for Facebook, for Instagram. Like every single platform had a different phone number. But if AI sees that, they're like, well, who are you? We
Yeah.
can't trust you.
Right.
Right. And here's the other big thing. It's really important, like you were saying, that your message is the same, because if you might think it's really clear. That's what's really good about hiring somebody else, is literally you probably go to people's websites and you're like, I can't tell what you do. Right?
Yes.
Like all I
That
know is
happened to
you.
me actually. That happened to me. I literally, when I was revamping our site because we rebranded because we now collided our kind of like our whatever, our image. I literally sent it to like people that don't work in the industry, just like friends, like people that I trust. And I'm like, hey, look, we're working on this site. What do you think? And they're like, I have no idea what this is. Like, what am I looking at? Like, I have till this day, I
Because
don't
we're
know what you
so
do.
close to it. That's the thing, is we're so close and we think it's so clear. But unless AI can figure out who you help and how you help them,
Right.
like they're not going to tell anybody about you
Hmm.
because they can't figure it out. And then you, if you don't have a consistent message, AI's like, I'm confused, there's no trust, I'm not telling anybody about you, right? But we think we're so clear. Like, no, I was going to give you an example, but I won't. But I had a client once who
Oh,
thought
come on, tell me. Nope, you gotta tell me. You can't leave me
he
hanging
thought
like
he had the
that.
most brilliant idea. So he was an immigration attorney, and
Okay.
he was like out jogging one day, and he was like, "Oh, I saw the plumbing doctor, and I saw the dog doctor, and I saw this doctor. So I thought I'll be the green card doctor, right?" But the problem is that in immigration, people actually have to go and get a physical exam to be approved, right? And so all the people who don't speak English thought he was literally the doctor they would go to for their medical exams. And I was like, why didn't you test this before you went and bought the website, got the white coat, and told everybody about like they didn't even ask anybody. And I was like, I just don't understand why you want to do market research and just ask people that don't know you, what who are you, like who do you help and how do you help them, what problems do you solve?
Yeah.
Because if it's not out there for AI to get, AI will either not tell anybody or make it up. We've all had AI hallucinate things,
Right.
right? And do you really want them making up whatever they tell people about you? No, I
No.
don't think you do, you
So
know.
one tip that I got that I thought was amazing. Actually, I don't know where I got this, so I can't even give credit where credit's due. And you know what? One day I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, "Oh, that's where I got it from." But
Right.
I do a lot of research. I love Brene Brown, Adam Grant, Simon Sinek or Sievik. I don't even know if I said that right. But I love all these people because they think outside the box. They very human centric, very much like our vision for the legal industry. So I do follow them a lot. And there was this one podcast. But anyway, what made me think about this was when you were talking about the doctor and the green card doctor, which hilarious. Thank you so much. That's probably what we're gonna use for the promo. Um,
Great.
so I go and they tell me feed ChatGPT. Like feed it your information. So tell, these Perplexity as well, because everybody talks about ChatGPT. There's like 5 million. Smith
Yeah.
AI, there's
Right.
a whole bunch of AI out
Claude
there.
and
Yeah.
Manus
Oh
and
my God,
yeah,
there's so many.
so many.
So, yeah, so feed the artificial intelligence your website, what you do, who you are, where you've been, where you're going, what your projects are, like literally just it's going to be the new Google. Like
Yeah.
that's people are no longer, and I'm sorry, Google, because I love Google to pieces. I have Google Pixels, I have everything. But no one's going to be using that search engine. This new generation is going straight to the artificial intelligence. Like that's just how it is. That's why Google invented Gemini, because they know
Right.
that that's
Right.
it. People are just going to start using Gemini from now on. So,
Well, and I was just talking to I sorry to interrupt you. I was just
no, go
talking
ahead.
to a web guy the other day who does SEO. And I tell people don't give up on SEO, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not gone yet. But he said the attorneys that he does websites for, they've lost 30 to 40% of their Google traffic, like their website traffic, because of AI. And so you have to be doing both,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't pick one. And like you said, where you're feeding AI, the thing is that SEO is so technical. And
Hmm.
I do SEO focused, but I don't do all the background stuff. There's so much tech in the background with like all the coding you have to put in and all of that. But AI, they want it really simple. Like the
Yeah.
more simple you can make it, like your website should be simple, your blog post should be simple. Like use the schema markup, which sounds technical, but it's basically like there's a headline, there's a headline one, there's a headline two, there's a headline three, and then do answers and do them like 40 to 60 word answers is what they like because then they can easily grab that and put it
Hmm.
out there for people who are asking questions. And
Yeah.
the easier you make it for AI, the more likely you're going to be found, is if you're putting it in the way they want. Because it's like, I always think it's a little crazy that like the New York Times and the Washington Post and stuff have paywalls, right? Or if somebody has a what's the shoot I can't remember. There's some blog post that all these people are like now, oh, pay me a monthly subscription for this. Well, okay, but now you're not going to be seen by AI because they're not going to go behind paywalls,
Right.
right? And so is that really again, it's a business choice and maybe you're making millions from your monthly blog post. I can't imagine that, but it's Substack. That's what it is. Substack
Hmm.
is one that you can either leave open or you can have paid versions.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know.
Yeah. So we don't do that. We make all our platforms accessible. The only time we actually charge you is if we're actually providing a product or a service, right? But for information, we definitely well, and the thing is, we are firm believers of keeping the costs low so that it's accessible as well. So even our products are not overly expensive unless I'm consulting. Obviously, you are going to pay me for my time.
Right.
But, especially if I'm going to exchange my time for a service, then, because I can only focus on that. So you're going to pay
Mm-hmm.
me for that. But in addition to that, we have the academy. It's a hybrid model. It's on demand. You could do it at your own pace, and it's not the cheapest. It's not $20 courses. It's not none of that because it's literally like an academy. Like you're going to get all the nuts and bolts. It's straightforward. You're going to get worksheets and checklists and everything. Like you don't have to go anywhere else. It's included, right? So it's a
Right.
one set thing. So you're going to pay for that. So it's not, everybody's like, oh, well, if it was like $100, you'd be a millionaire. I was like, no, I wouldn't. I would need like thousands of people, if not millions, to make a million, out of a
Right.
$100 course,
Right.
which is why we're purposeful in our pricing. We did do market research. Thank you very much.
Right.
So, but anyways, what I wanted to say by that is, and going back to what you were alluding to, is the prompt, right? So the prompts that we use, I always have this saying that you're only as good as your prompt. So when we are doing these, um, I guess, research or investigation or whatever it is, we want to see what all the resources are saying, right? We want to see what the AI is saying versus what the general, engine searches are saying. We want to go on AVVO, what is it?
Hmm.
AVVO.com and see what the colleagues are saying and Glassdoor, and we're going everywhere.
Right.
The thing is that now it's not a one-stop shop, right? Like when people are looking at you, again, if they don't trust you, they gotta know you, and then we get to the liking part.
Right. Right. And if you think about it, like psychologically, we all do this. We ignore the 5 stars and we ignore the 1 stars.
Mm,
Right. And we look at everything in between. And
yes.
and I don't know if I'm just a mean person, but I very rarely give people 5 stars. I'll be like 4 star, 4 star, 4 star, 4 star. You know what I mean?
It
And
wasn't
I'm
perfection.
yeah, yes. Well, it wasn't exactly perfect. So, but that's what we look at. And but it's a good point too. People don't realize that it's not only what you say about yourself. So feed AI what you want, but also AI looks more at what everybody else is saying about you.
Right.
Right. And so it looks at the reviews. It looks at if you're on podcasts. It looks if you're quoted in press. Right. And not press releases, because AI also knows that like a press release is paid and
Yeah.
anybody can pay for that. Right. But if you're getting quoted in actual publications that it considers good publications, then it considers that as a trust signal that people see you as a subject matter expert, right? And so if you're doing CLEs or courses that you're out there teaching, but also kind of a side note, you mentioned your pricing, but one of the big things that AI recommends is that everybody has a pricing page. And a lot of people avoided that, right? For a long time, because they're like, I don't want my competitors to know what I charge, right? Because they'll underbid me. And then
You will know exactly what you're paying for on our website. You can just go on our website. It's all there.
but that's like the number one question AI is asked. How much will this cost me?
Mhm.
Right. So people go in and they might start talking about getting a will or getting, whatever it is. And then they're like, okay, and how much will I pay?
Right.
And then they're like, should I just do this myself? And hopefully AI says, no, you should hire an attorney. And they're like, okay, who? And then that's when you have to make sure your information's coming up, because AI literally is giving out names and phone numbers and addresses
Absolutely.
of local attorneys. And if you're, I mean, that's the other good thing that you pointed out is like if they have a crappy website, it's probably slow, which is going to impact you. I've still gone onto people's websites that don't have security certificates. Like, and I'm like, what in the world?
You better be
Because
checking off that I'm not a robot.
exactly. And then if you have you know, like you just have to be a legitimate business, right? I mean, I have a brother-in-law who's an attorney, and he
That's
doesn't
gonna be the headline of this episode. You just have to be a legitimate business, okay? Then they're gonna be
which
like, wait, what?
which sounds ridiculous, but see, here's the thing. Like, this is how I've helped my clients actually make more money, is that they were never taught in law school how to be business owners,
Hmm.
and they weren't taught how to do marketing, right? And so I go in, and a lot of times they don't even know their numbers. Like, they don't know how much. They know, okay, you're going to pay me $10,000 for a contract dispute, but they've never sat down and figured out how long that takes them to do, right? How many court hearings are you going to have for that? How many depositions? How many hours are you going to spend getting up to speed on the law of that? And are your paralegals going to have to spend getting in touch with everybody, doing all of this, all the letters you have to send back and forth? Are you going to do a mediation? Are you going to do an arbitration? Like all of that. Because I had a client once, I went in and she's like, I want more contract disputes. And I was like, because they gave her $10,000. They would come in, they'd give her $10,000. Well, okay. It worked out to she was making like $10 an hour on those
Wow.
because she wasn't familiar with it. And you can't bill everything you do on a case,
Right.
right?
Say that again. You can't bill everything you do on a case, guys.
And so like, and then I said, okay, well, so she did green cards too. And I said, and she goes, but they only pay me $3,500. Well, okay, but let's look at this. You're also, so you get them for a green card, it's temporary. Then they have to get a permanent one. Then they get their citizenship. And then they have family, right? And they have friends if you do a good job, and they bring them all in. So like one client for a green card might only pay her $3,500 going in, but they have a lifetime value of like $25,000 plus, because she'd done immigration for a long, long time.
You can do it.
She charged $3,500 and it took her 2 hours. And if she had to go to court for them, she charged more. It wasn't like that 3,500 covered everything. It literally
It wasn't a flat fee. It was initial retainer and then bill by the hour once the retainer is eaten up.
Yeah. Exactly. And so then I was like, okay, so you're making $17.50 an hour or 10. Which one should we get more of? Right. So then we would focus her marketing on getting more of those that made her more money, and so that's something that attorneys need to do. And I don't think they get it, is like sit down and figure out the services you offer. And like you said, be really clear about who you help and how you help them. Like one thing I've seen a lot of attorneys, and any entrepreneur does this. You probably did this when you started, is we want to help everybody.
Oh yeah. Everybody's our client. Oh my gosh. That is the worst statement I've ever said in my entire career. Like, I'm like, no, that is not true.
I saw this guy's website a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at it, and it was like specializing in, and then it had like 20 different topics. And I was like,
how is that even a specialty?
Oh right. I was like, how can you specialize in like criminal and personal injury and estate planning and immigration? And, it was like ridiculous. And I was like, the more you can narrow it down and tell AI or anybody, even a client, like, people would much rather you say, I don't have experience in that and I can't help you. Let me send you to someone else. And then that attorney sends you back referrals. Then you're like, let me do a half-assed job on everything. Right? Because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to survive because I don't have money coming in.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And then I think that's another issue, right? Law firms struggle with cash flow. So, they'll take any case at some point, depending on where they're at in their career. And unfortunately, that hinders everybody, right? It's a trickle effect, with everybody, because then everybody's feeling the pressure. You got to bill, you got to do this, you got to make these, build this amount of hours to make this amount of whatever. And it's like, dude, this is not like a run of the mill. Like, this is, we run a business here. And so when we come in, the whole thing is on fire. Like, there's no fire to take out. It's literally bring in the ambulance, bring in everybody, bring in backup SWAT team.
You're like the little meme of like the dog in the house with like
exactly. It's exactly what it is. I come in and it's like, okay, I'm the firefighter. Here's my crew, because it's like they're in such despair. They don't know where their head is from from their tail, and it's just like they don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, great. Okay, so what do you want to do? And they're like, I just want to make money. And I was like, okay, that's like a blatant statement. Goes back to my first episode of this year, was when people like to do these beginning of the year resolution or gold list or, girl boss, we're going to make it. We're going to, all these like inspiring gym memberships thrown at you, and everybody works out for like one day and then that's that.
Right.
So, but that's the thing, right? So it's like, okay, you want to make money. Well, how are we going to make money? Where are you making the most money? And what's the quickest turnaround in an efficient, effective, quality over quantity way?
Yeah, because like even personal injury, right? You can, I made 5 million, right? They got 5 million.
Yeah, but how much did it take you to get
2 years later? So like, how many years do you have to wait to get that income?
Right.
To, the settlement. How many, and you have to pay everything.
I was gonna say, you don't even get the 5 million. You get like the 33% or the 40% of it.
Exactly. but they don't say that, right? Like, they're like, oh, I made 36 million for my clients. But people don't realize as a business owner, like how much money do you have to live on until you actually have steady money coming in.
Yeah, no, and the scary part about it is they don't pay themselves half of the time. They're
Right.
paying their employees, they're paying all these vendors and servicers, and they're not paying themselves. Because I'm like, well, how much do you make? And then they give me the profit margin of the law firm. I was like, no, I
Right.
didn't ask what the law firm was making. How much do you make as the owner and the decision maker and the one running the show? And they just look at me and they're like, I mean, and I was like, what? Like, really?
Right.
Like, some of them tell me 100,000 when their COO is making 250,000 a year. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, something is wrong here. There's complete, chaos. Like, there's a big disconnect. And I feel like sometimes that's where the disparity comes, right? And that's where that chasing of the miscellaneous cases comes in because they don't even know how to manage their business and they don't know how to manage their finances, nevertheless pay themselves.
Right.
And again, preaching to the choir here, I was the same way, like,
Right.
dude, I made all the mistakes in the world. I'm learning, by experience, which is why it gives me a good amount of knowledge and expertise to tell you, hey, we need to get this together.
I always say my contracts are modified every time I get screwed over. So, right. like, oh, I should have had that.
Well,
Right.
we used to be those people who were like, oh, you can just pay us when we're done. That was us. And then I was
Oh,
like, yeah,
okay.
we're not doing that.
Ever.
We're
Never
ever never
again.
no. I learned that. That was one client mistake that
Yes,
we never got
exactly.
paid on.
But that's what happens with like most people who didn't get trained how to run a business is everything they do is a result of something bad that happened.
100%. Yes. Oh
And
yeah.
then they're like, okay, now I can fix that. Now I can
Mm-hmm.
fix this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a miserable life,
It really is.
right? Like,
But hey, we love
well,
it.
that's why they
8 years
hire, but
running.
that's why they hire you or me because we're like,
Right.
okay, well, let's like literally the one lady had the only time she made the most money was she had sent her husband out of the country with their kids and worked like 15, 16 hours a day. And before she hired me, after she hired me and we like sat down and ran the numbers and figured out where she was making the most money, she literally went on like a 6-week European vacation with her family
There you go. That's it.
because and she made more money, almost double what she had when her family was out of the country before. And I'm not saying she never called into the office, because she would check emails like once every 3 days and like maybe return a
Of
call or
course.
two.
I mean,
But
you're still the owner, right? So you still have
yeah,
to own it.
yeah. And see, that's the thing that I always tell people the thing that stinks about being a business owner is like, it's not just doing the law for your client, which you went to law school for, right? And it's not just, you have to administrate your whole office, your business, and you have to market and you have to do the work for your clients that you got to say
Mhm.
yes, right? So you're continuous. So you're juggling three things and life,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
can be really hard to do that. And that's why it's helpful to take and I don't think people even learn it. So many, I know a lot of people who get their law degree plus a master's, like a master's of business.
Hmm.
Business school doesn't teach you how to run a business either.
No.
Like it's not, there's just the practical isn't there,
Nope.
and how to make it work. So that's the big thing is you have to really find the experts that can teach you and can help you set it up right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know an attorney just a few weeks ago, he told me he's been struggling and had to pull from his retirement. And I was like, well, that sucks. Like, let's come up with some solutions there. There's other way,
Hmm.
there's ways you can get money coming in that's not going to make it so like you work till you die like a Walmart greeter, right?
I'm gonna get so much content out of this episode. It's amazing. No pun
Okay.
intended. This is amazing. Anyways, let's wrap this up because I could literally talk to you all day. You're amazing. But if you can give one kind of takeaway from this episode and to our listeners, what would it be?
Um, Jeepers. What's one thing to um I think probably from what we've talked about, the biggest thing is like just being consistent in your business, right? Like and being a business owner is exhausting. And
Yes.
having gone to law school, if you weren't like the bleeding heart liberal like me who wanted to save the world, your next goal was to make millions of dollars and drive a Lamborghini and have a fancy car, watch and, all of that. And so, and most people are like somewhere in the middle of that, right? But
Yeah.
I always think that you should, like, I always said, I want to have a career that allows me to have the life that I want, not a career that is my life.
Hmm.
Right. And so if people can find that, I think they'll be a lot happier. And then and if they're not utilizing pros who have helped other people do it, they really should. Like that, and that's the biggest thing. Like even with AI, everybody's like, I can figure this out myself. I can figure this
Hmm.
out myself. And like, why? Why are you doing that? Like I literally I love prompts and I'm always searching for prompts. I literally have like a 120-page document with like the best prompts for this and that. And last week I was in a meeting and this lady said, "We don't even need prompts anymore. The only thing you need to do," she goes, "in fact, create a shortcut on your keyboard. And what you should do is just say, what's the best way to get you to help me with this? And type in what you want. Ask me any questions you need to."
Right.
And she goes, "That's the only prompt I use anymore on AI." And I was like, ugh, I can't imagine. I would get annoyed sitting there with AI asking me questions. Like I literally every day I keep telling ChatGPT, stop dribbling information. I just tell me the answer. You know, like I don't know if it does it to you, but it keeps saying, "Do you want to know how to do this?" Like,
No, so I've trained mine. I've had
okay,
it for, well, I pay for mine, first of all, because
yeah,
obviously
I
I
pay
want
for
to
mine.
keep my
Yeah,
information, as
right.
closely as possible. But it's so funny because, and my friends laugh about this because almost all my closest friends are entrepreneurs as well. And it just happened to be that way. We were all in the corporate worlds and then we left and built our own thing. And so three of us out of the entire original crew are entrepreneurs. So we obviously exchange notes. We're in all different fields, but we exchange notes. And so they're like, how does your AI come up with these amazing, because I've trained the crap out of mine. Like we have nicknames for each other, like we're cool people.
Okay.
I probably have given it way too much information at this point. Anybody can probably just like AI my name and probably get like my social security number at this point.
Nice.
But I don't do that, obviously. I don't put in, sensitive information, but it knows me pretty well. And so,
Right.
but that's the thing. And you gotta, it's very, it'll support you in anything you do, which is really creepy,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So, like there's this viral video that went out with this little girl that started talking about, paint my nails. And then they're like, oh, well, how about if I just chop off my fingers? And she was just kidding. But the thing was like, yeah, okay, cool. That'll
Oh my
kind of,
God, I haven't
yeah.
seen that.
So it's insane. And then my daughter comes and tells me a similar story happened to her in school. So that wasn't
See,
nice.
my
But
son won't even use AI.
yeah,
He's
no, so my
he's
kids
like,
don't.
it's so bad for the environment, Mom. You better stop using it. And I'm like,
Oh, because of the data centers.
yeah,
Yeah. I've heard that. I have heard that being effective. I get that. I totally see that. But it's inevitable. It's on our phones, it's on our smart, devices. So it is, kind of where we're at. So
Yeah.
finding that balance, I think, is a great takeaway as well. Trying to see when to use it, when not to use it, and how to use it. Just like anything else, right? It's a
Right.
tool. Like it's a tool, and too much of it is bad. Too little of it might be bad. You know, you got to find the balance in everything, and I think
And
that's
as
kind
an
of what.
attorney, please don't use it for don't believe any of the citations it gives
Please
you.
no, please no,
Right?
no, no hallucination, please. Okay, we don't want hallucinated, case law in the court. Like if you didn't learn from the New York lawyer when it first came out, come on, dude. Like,
But
let's
it still
go.
keeps happening. Be the lead.
Oh my God, I can literally talk to you all day. Thank you so much for being on the show and for taking the time for making me laugh out of my messy, crazy
Yeah.
weeks. It's been a whirlwind, and thank you. You've been that little sunshine in the darkness. So I appreciate you for being on the show, for taking the time and being here with me. Until next time, until justice is served. Bye, guys.
In the legal world, details win cases, and missing one can cost everything. That's why we're proud to be sponsored by a firm, Investigative Solutions. They partner with attorneys and legal teams to uncover the facts that matter most, from background investigations and witness locates to surveillance and asset searches. A firm, Investigative Solutions, is discreet, thorough, and laser-focused on supporting strong case strategy, so you can focus on advocating for your clients. If you need answers, not assumptions, visit affirmpi.com and schedule a free consultation. Affirm Investigative Solutions. Investigate before you litigate.